all be suspended.
Without objection.
Madam President, I'm here to talk about President's Build Back Better agenda and its importance to our country. We have heard a lot over the last couple months about the new jobs that plan will bring. And it's estimated by economists that it will generate 4 million jobs every year for the next 10 years. And that's because we're going to be investing in modernizing our infrastructure. We've already heard about the important work to modernize our roads and our bridges, expand our transit systems, build out the infrastructure of the 21st century, including high-speed internet to every American household and every small business. We've talked about the importance of deploying a clean energy grid and making sure that we move toward a clean energy economy. And that will put millions of Americans to work in good-paying jobs. And you're generating that kind of economic activity, that kind of wage opportunity. Obviously, that's good for every American household and brings in more income. But today, I'm going to gather with some of my colleagues, organized by the senator from Minnesota, Senator Klobuchar, who will join us shortly, to talk about how the Build Back Better agenda will not just generate millions of jobs and good-paying jobs, but help the dollars that Americans have in their pockets and bank accounts travel faster, how it's going to save them money. Now, one way it's going to save money is for families with kids, and they're going to get a tax cut. In fact, that tax cut was put in place as part of the American Rescue Plan that we passed earlier this year. And as a result of that tax cut for families with kids, families around the country right now are getting up to $300 per child to help cover the everyday costs of raising kids and addressing the needs of a family. That will also cut child poverty in half, but only for this year. And it's currently scheduled to terminate at the end of this year, that tax cut for American families with kids. And so one of the things we do in the Build Back Better agenda is extend that for many years, because it doesn't make sense to have that terminate and have those families stuck with all those additional costs. But there's also another way that the Build Back Better agenda is going to help every dollar that comes into the family bank account go farther. And that's by reducing the costs that they face in so many of their everyday household expenditures. And I want to focus on a couple areas. One is in the area of childcare. One is in the area of health care and prescription drugs. And the other is the energy costs and gas costs that so many families face. And the Build Back Better agenda is going to lower the cost for American families in those areas so that the income they have will go much further. And I want to start with childcare, because working parents with infant children are scraping by today to pay for childcare, paying on average $1,300 every month to get licensed care. Under the Build Back Better agenda, if you look at the projections, you will see that Marylanders, families in my state of Maryland, will see their child care bills cut nearly in half with weekly savings of $141 every week. That's $7,322 a year for child care costs, lowering of child care costs for those families. And if you think about the need to try to get more people in the workforce, it's understandable that if you're a parent with kids, you want to make sure that when you go into the workforce, your kids have an affordable and secure place during the day. And right now, that's not an option for millions of American families. So one of the things this proposal does, the Build Back Better plan, is dramatically reduce those costs for childcare. The proposal will also cut prescription drug costs for seniors. We've been having a debate for years about the need to allow Medicare to negotiate for lower drug prices on behalf of all of us, on behalf of all the beneficiaries in Medicare. The Veterans Administration negotiates drug prices for veterans that are in their care, and yet we don't allow Medicare to negotiate drug prices. This is nuts, and it runs up the costs for Medicare, because if you don't get to negotiate price, the pharmaceutical companies get to set the price wherever they want. And so this proposal, the Build Back Better plan, will cut those costs and reduce prescription drug costs for Part D premiums by 15%. We're also proposing to expand Medicare to cover vision, dental, and hearing services. This is a big gap in the current Medicare program, and right now, seniors on average each year are paying $914 out of pocket for hearing services, $874 for dental services, and $230 for vision services. Our proposal would cover that big gap in the Medicare program. I'm going to talk for one moment about energy prices, because we all know we have to move to a clean energy economy, and we're going to make it easier to do that as we put more Americans to work in that area. One of the things that is proposed is a generous electric vehicle tax credit of up to $12,500. So this will make it easier for Americans to afford those cars, and it's much easier to run a car on cheaper electricity than on gas. But it's also going to help folks who continue to drive their gas-powered cars for years to come, because if we get more people into electric cars, that means less demand for gas, and so that means the folks who are continuing to drive in their gas cars will get lower gas prices, and we all know that gas prices have been on the rise. And finally, talking about energy savings, you know, the best way to save energy money is to make sure that we don't waste as much energy. All of us know that we have homes. In many cases, they're not that well insulated. And so part of this plan also includes help to homeowners to more cheaply make their homes energy efficient. And that means with a given amount of power, they will heat their homes at cheaper costs because there'll be less wasted energy. So in situation after situation, if you look at this bill, not only will it generate more jobs at better wages, not only will it provide working families with kids with tax cuts, but it will also help Americans save money on everything from prescription drugs to childcare to energy prices and many others. And that's what economists have said, and that's especially true because we're going to pay for this by finally requiring big corporations to pay their fair share and not allow them to hide so many of their profits offshore in places like Bermuda and the Cayman Islands. And we're going to ask the very wealthiest Americans, billionaires, to also pay more for the success of the entire country. So, Madam President, I just want to emphasize the fact, because we hear so much misinformation in this chamber about what's in the Build Back Better agenda, that in addition to the jobs and higher wages, it's also going to help save families money on their bills so that their dollars will travel farther. And I yield the floor.
Madam President.
Senator from Wisconsin is recognized.